this is Jason at Mustang Rehab. We're back on the Bronco this weekend. We are going to look at putting in the rocker panels today, finally. We swapped the original doors out with a new set of door shells that I'd bought. We put the front fenders on it. I did all that trying to fit it halfway because I was sort of concerned with the way the rockers were fitting. The ones I bought were junk. I've spent a lot of time getting them to fit, so I'll go over today what I did before I put them on, so I can show you guys what might be beneficial to you if you have to start fitting these things up. The last video we hung the door, adjusted the hinges. The more I played with it, trying to get the rocker up, I just wasn't feeling it, and I went ahead and ordered all new steel for the rear of the Bronco, so this is going to be all new steel basically. So I figure just go ahead and use the doors that I bought. But as you can see, we got a good shut. We finally got a pretty good seam across the bottom. It's about as good as you're going to get with an aftermarket part. So I'm pleased with that. My seams, again, I don't have it pulled up tight at the back here because I'm putting in a new quarter panel. So just imagine this will be gone if we can get it squared up. Here's a rocker we installed, and I've been fitting it, taking it on and off, finally to a point where I feel like it's pretty close. Again, when I drilled the spot welds out, I cut the bottom of the upper panel off. I separated the two panels and actually decreased this gap here. It was really wide. It had a funky angle that didn't meet up with the pan like it was supposed to. When I cut it loose, shortened it, and put it back on, it started fitting a little bit better. But then I also had to give it a little bit more of a negative angle. I have a real wide flat chisel in a block of wood I use, trying to sort of work that out a little bit more. It actually fits good. It's pretty flush with the body there. Close the door and you can, again, you can walk around the front and show them the front gap. And this is my front gap with the aftermarket fender. So I can't stress that enough. Aftermarket fender, aftermarket door, aftermarket quarter panel, and every bit of it's crap. And it's close, and it really gives you something to work from. But man, it's not new to me because I've rebuilt a bunch of Mustangs, and those panels are just as bad. I'm constantly having to cut out spot welds and all to make stuff fit. So the Bronco's not any better. We can fit it and make it look really nice. It'll be a nice Bronco when it's done. So I am going to remove the rocker now, and we can probably go ahead and pull the fender off too, because I had a guy, Norm, pointed out on one of my last videos that I'd let the A-pillar post go on the wrong side of the rocker panel, and he was correct. And I'm glad he pointed that out because it fit better on the outside just because everything was aftermarket. So I got that fit better. It's not welded up yet. I want to show Norm that, and maybe it answers his question too, because I believe he's putting one in. Hey, real quick before I pull the rocker off, I wanted to show you guys something I'm not proud of, but it happened, and maybe it'll save you from doing the same thing. When I kept preaching about dimensions and all this stuff, you know, when you put your parts in, my dimensions were spot on. But that was from an original part to a dimension to an original part. Well, I put the aftermarket parts on, and I dimensioned back to the same location that looked right, but it wasn't. Where I did a little bit of tweak on my hinge in the last video, that worked out fine, but I was concerned with the tightness of it, and what I ended up having to do was split the front edge of my A-pillar, just the A-pillar cover, because this is more of a support, and it's just tacked in place right now. I had to split it here and just sort of give it and push back on the A-pillar a little bit, and then retack it, and that's really frustrating to have to do, but it solved the problem. The next one I build, I will definitely dry fit. I'll dry fit the A-pillar, I'll get the door hung and set it up there. That was a mistake I made. It's gonna work, we can make it work, but just to save myself some time, I won't do that again. These parts aren't close enough to make that type of assumption that it's going to be right. So when you see this, it's that way because I cut it. I'll weld it out here in a little bit, but we can show the A-pillar to rocker transition. I had to split the upper just a little, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches of the rocker A-pillar inside, so it will let the rocker sort of go behind there, because it was really tight where your fender rolls in this transition. It was maybe a 1/16 is all they give you. Let's see, camera, get in there. So right in here, that gap right there. So that's why I split it on the inside right there. Again, I'll weld that up when we pull it out. We're gonna drill our spot weld holes. We'll drill spot weld holes in this. So when we put it back on here for the last time, we can weld it up and all that'll be solid, because you can imagine how much this rocker really gives support to the A-pillar. It helps hold the hinge, because without it, you can still see them moving. See if they can see inside here. I think this is kind of redundant. I think I've showed it once before, but just the spot welds back on the inside where I'd cut and lowered. And of course this isn't cleaned up. This is just ground kind of semi-smooth for now. This edge here, I don't want to cut it yet, because we're going to put the new B-pillar in when they get here. So right now it's too wide. It doesn't fit very well here, but I'm not going to cut it until we get the B-pillar. I guess that's something else I should have showed you. When I weld this in, because I don't know how long it's going to be, your B-pillar is supposed to weld, to your pan here, and then your rocker sort of sandwiches the two. So what I'm going to do is when we install this, I'll weld it to here and probably here, but I'm going to leave all this open, and I'm going to put a couple extra holes. So when we get the new B-pillar, we'll just slide it in, and then I can weld it from the back side to the B-pillar, and then weld the rocker to the B-pillar. So all this stuff will be sandwiched and welded out. Before I put the rocker on, I want to show you how I prepped it. What I wanted to do to start with is, I don't know if you can see it, I've got a bunch of holes drilled along the base here, and that right there goes on the bottom. I drilled them to the back side, so, and I'll get John to show you, on the bottom of the rocker you have your lip here. If you drill a whole bunch of holes here, you're going to see it. So I only have 3 that I have to clean up, and then I can weld it from the back side. It's just a smoother and cleaner installation. I say that, then I have all this goobered up mess up here, but it is what it is. Before I weld it, I'll show you how I check and make sure everything is square to the door. That's why I left the doors hung, and I may even go ahead and put the fender back on it, because I want to be absolutely certain before I weld this thing in place that it's where it's supposed to be. Take your time, or you'll end up cutting it out like we did up front. There's a few specific screws. When you start fitting, you'll have a couple extra places that you have drilled, but the final screws I ended up with, I put arrows at. So I make sure I reuse the proper hole for my realignment, because it'd be really easy to go put a screw in another place, and that was for one of the times that it just didn't fit right. So just keep track of where you were. Alright, so I have my rocker panel installed. You can see That is pretty good, if I say so myself, to start with junk. So that looks really good. So I'm about to weld it up. I just wanted to show you, this is my final pre-fit. Before I weld it, I'm going to go ahead and do all the spot welding, and I'm going to go ahead and come back and see how she looks when I'm done. Alright, so rocker panel is installed. Again, trying to get the right camera angle on this. There we go, my bad. Just trying to show you guys the fit, the gap, and how it all went together. See, it's all spot welded all the way to the corner. Of course, lots of grinding and prettying up to do. And again, this is where I left it loose. Just put 2 screws, and then left this out so when I get my new B-pillar, I can slide it up and weld it out. And then we'll have to fix this gap here, right there with my finger. It doesn't fit really good. Anyways, on to the next one. All right, and the new A-pillar welded to the rocker. We'll take it all apart, clean it up, grind it, make it pretty. But it's there, everything's there. And then the back side. I know I said we were gonna move on, but I just wanted to show you guys. See, you weld it on the back, and then if you look at it from underneath, all you have is just a discoloration from welding through. Much easier to clean up than drilling a hole and having all those spot welds. Alright guys, we're on the passenger side now. It basically is going to be the same thing we did on the driver's side. I've fitted it, same bad fit, same issues with all the panels. I got to pull the fender off, got to pull the rocker panel off, get the all the spot welds drilled in it, and get it prepped for welding. It's fitted. I don't know if you can see this door. This one has a little bit better fit than the driver's side. But for aftermarket parts, or after a lot of massaging, I'll show you what I had to do to the fenders on the next video to get them to even go in place. But for now, we'll try to stay on task. Keep talking about the rockers. But it's the same thing. I did do a little bit of re-welding here because this was way off. I just trimmed it up to halfway up. I just stopped because I don't have the new B-pillar yet. But again, these things were junk, so I keep restating that, but I can't say it enough. But we'll make them work. You guys saw the other side. I'm just gonna we won't stop as many times on this one, but I'll try to show you before I weld up and then after I weld, so you can see the passenger side installed too. So back in a minute. Alright guys, we've got the rocker in. It's welded up. It went in good. I'm trying to show you here. I'm happy with it. It's gonna be nice. It's just those are so much work. Honestly, you know what you guys are seeing is after a full day of on and off, trying to get it right. And anyways, you know, my granddaddy would say making a silk purse out of a sow's ear. So that's basically what I've been doing. And I may have to title this video that. He was a funny man. Anyways, we're gonna move forward from here. We'll get on the front fenders and show you what I had to do to make those work, because they didn't fit either. They're closed. Hey guys, in the comments below, if you want to leave me a message, and as I build this Bronco front to back, we're going to do the back, we're going to do the front, engine, chassis, and you want more detail on a certain specific area as I'm building, just let me know, and we'll slow down in those areas and show you how I do it. I can't tell you that I'm an expert on it, but I can tell you when I get it done, it'll look right and be a good product. So there's 1,000 ways to do this, but I can show you mine. So just leave me a little message. I'll be glad to see what I can do. But thanks for watching. Subscribe if you will, and we'll see you on the next one.